Hi everyone, welcome to my garden update fall 2021. Oh boy, there are tons of stuff to show you. We are just getting out of this terrible heat that we had in 2021. Here in Southern California, we still have temperatures of 100 degrees and over, and hopefully this is the last week. It seems that our late afternoons are going to be a lot cooler, and you can really tell. I've had a lot of casualties in the garden this year, and basically the heat has been just so intense, and we have had very little rain here in Southern California that, as you can see, the garden is really feeling it. Thank goodness that these succulents are so resilient. I mean, there are some that um, didn't make it, and I will show you which ones, and I really won't be buying those again. As you know, if you follow my garden adventures here, I try them out and give them a second chance and sometimes even a third chance. And if they don't work out in my garden, I don't replant them because I did that at the beginning and it's just too expensive to keep trying. So you have to really try many plants until you find your favorites and what's working. Although it is very predictable what you will need to be doing every year. Um, Still, the weather changes, there's different circumstances, things that happen in your garden. As you can see here, the rock is full of weeds. I have not pulled them because it's easier to yank them out when they're bigger, but my euphorbia is doing great. I'm not looking forward to all these leaves dropping on my garden, but it's part of life here. They're starting to turn yellow, and I am surrounded by these trees. So we're going to be dealing with that in this near future. But before they fall, I'm going to be preparing the garden, revamping it like I do every season. And as you can see here, my coral aloe babies are just doing great. They thrived, they grew, and now they will be planted in the ground. Probably in the next coming week, I'm going to be doing another video where I just revamp my garden. I have new plans for it, and that's going to be so exciting. As you can see here, my little boxwoods that I bought are doing great. I'm going to be forming those into topiaries. My sticks on fire, they are just doing great. Some of them toasted a little bit, but other than that, they survived. This is a newly transplanted one midsummer, and it did great. I am a little bit disappointed with the Cameronia aloes. I don't know what's going on with this one, but when I pull it out, I'll show you guys. That will be in the next video where I get my hands dirty and you can join me in doing the maintenance in my garden. We're going to be discovering that. In this area, I have several pots that are doing great. I have my starfish Sansevieria, which is thriving, and my string of bananas, which is just beautiful. I'm going to need to hang that one and kind of trim it because I have it knotted at the top. It's so long that it reaches the ground, and with this heat, I didn't want it to toast. My hydrangea, well, it survived. It did great. It thrived. I even have another one that I'm growing. I suspect this one needed to be fed more, but it did give me some beautiful blooms, so I'm very pleased with that. As you can see, this little arrangement here, I revamped it, but I think my topsy-turvy succulent has just run its course. A lot of them really died. They got water too early. I like to leave them without watering after I cut them and reset them, but we had a little freak storm and they got drenched and some of them rotted. But I did add some other succulents there, but it's not doing too good. So I think I'm going to be either adding to it or revamping it also in the maintenance video. Here my little ollie, my olive tree or bush. It's a dwarf, and I had repotted it in these beautiful pots. I have a video that I filmed it, and it is doing great. My Mertillo cactus is, look at all the growth. I mean, you could tell the difference in the growth because you can see the blue, and it just loved this corner, and it is just growing beautifully. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave this beauty here and just clean it and around it and replace the rock, and I think it's going to look gorgeous. This artichoke agave or Agave Perrier is doing great. It's the one that has the baby, and this is actually a daughter. The mama's struggling a little bit, and you'll see later on in the video. Look at this jade. It is usually very tough. It can take a lot of heat, but this year, this spot, I guess, is getting too much sun in the hours that are too hot. The one that is thriving is this Kalanchoe Lucier or Flapjack Succulent, and it has a bunch of babies. The mama died down, and I cut her down, and she left all these babies, and the babies are thriving. However, in this area, I had a situation going on. We couldn't figure out what was going on. A lot of these plants were very sad. This is the Caledope Aloe, and it's usually very beautiful also, and it can take the heat. But in this area, everything was turning kind of yellow, and it was having a tough time. And we discovered there was a big ant just community under all these plants. So it was just devastating these plants. So good thing that I caught it, and that's why it is so important to take a look at your garden every day or when you can, and you get to discover all these things before they become too big of a problem and they just kill your succulents. Here you're looking at my beautiful Sahara Echeveria, and those did great. I mean, one of them did get some sunburn, which you will see, and that just shows you that location is very important, and these plants perform different everywhere in your garden depending on what ecosystem you place them in. As you can see, the growth here, the crest from this T-Rex aloe is not looking too pretty, so I will be taking that one out in the maintenance video. This ripple jade or curly jade is just so beautiful. I will be propagating this one and placing it all through my garden. It is just my favorite jade. It has performed beautifully even though it's been so hot, and it again is one of my faves. Here is another Sahara Echeveria, and as you can see, it still has some bloom spikes there, and this one has no sun damage. It is in an area that's a bit more protected. So again, it's very important that you see how they're doing and where they're performing at their best. That way next year you can live and learn. You can place it where it won't get any damage. But as you see, this one has a little bit of damage, and it's okay. Again, these leaves will fall off. They're at the bottom, at the base, so it's okay. But next year I hope to avoid this by placing it in an area where it has better protection from that hot sun. The aloes just performed really good this year. Again, it depends on the aloe. This Caledope aloe and this T-Rex, they did very good, even though the crest is not looking great. Look at all those babies. They gave me tons of babies. So I will be just sprinkling them through this bed this year when I do the major revamping in the next video. And I am just so excited. I wanted to show you the bloom spike. Look at how weird that growth is. It's just like a crest on the bloom spike. So that was very interesting to me. Now, some good news is that the aeoniums are starting to wake up. This aeonium was very crunchy a couple of weeks ago, and as you see, it's got a lot of cleaning up that I need to do. It's full of kitty hairs and just dry leaves, but as you can see, it is bouncing back just like aeoniums do. It is coming out of being dormant for the summer, and I am so excited because these are just very beautiful. Aeoniums do give off a tough smell, so that the lizards and other animals and insects aren't attracted to them, and that's the magic of these plants. But if you don't mess with them, they're just gorgeous in your garden. And look at that blue Elf Aloe. It's just doing great, and that was a new addition this year to my garden. The Starry Night Aloe has tons of babies, which I like the way it looks with the babies there, so I'm going to leave it another while. Now, on that note, this aloe is a Cameronia, and I am so sad that it is just so stressed to the point where something's going on down there, and we have to explore that. So I will be taking it out of the ground in the next video, and we will be seeing what's going on with that one. This year my opuntias performed beautifully. They gave me tons of fruit. Unfortunately, there's a couple of them that did get scales, so I will have to be very vigilant to see if that goes away. If not, I'm going to have to cut them down. But I am suspecting that I'm going to have to restart them pretty soon here because they did get very tall and they're looking just a bit scarred. So luckily these grow quick and they're resilient, and you can just restart them from the pads. Here you're looking at a collection of pots that I have on the side of the house near the wall. And I do have one of my little boxwoods that I'm going to be making into a topiary, and several of my aloes from my mama aloe that's in the back. Look at these babies. They are huge already. I just took them out like a couple of months ago. I pulled them out, stuck them in these pots, and they are thriving. Again, these are protected from the hot sun, so they do get some morning sun and some late afternoon sun, but for the most part, they are just doing great. This Mertillo cactus is my crest, and it took such a long time to get to this point, but it is now thriving. It loved this pot, it loved this area, so we're keeping it here. Okay, so the garden, raised garden beds that I made this year, this is under one of the beds, and the pots that I have under here, which is some elephant bush and some Vicks plant and just some random succulents, they're doing great, but the stuff in my beds are a fail. I'm not gonna lie, it was not productive this year, and I'm going to rethink my strategy next year because the heat, the bugs, just it was not good. And my gourds that I planned to trellis up here were a disaster. They just were too hard too much water, too much maintenance. Look at the spider webs. The insects started to eat them. And yeah, you live, you learn. So that's not going to happen. I'm going to have to find something else to trellis up this thing that's resilient and succulent-like, and that's just another adventure I'm going to go on here. These are some chiles. I believe they're jalapenos, and they are struggling, but they're alive. This is another elephant bush, the mammoth, and I did go ahead and plant it in the little box, and I'm just gonna, all the succulents that I take out of the ground, that I'm going to put them in the raised beds, and it's gonna be a nice hospital or transition area, and I'm just gonna find a way to make it work here. My Rita Apuntia is just looking great. I do have a video on that one that I posted this year, and it just thrived this year. I had so many new pads Right now you can see it's a bit stressed, it's a bit desiccated. I haven't wanted to overwater it, but that's the beauty of this Opuntia, that it gets those beautiful purple colors when it's stressed. It's got a blue tinge to it, and I just love this pot, so it's going to be staying in the pot. Now on that note, my Agave Perrier, this is the mama. She went through a rough period. I took her out of the ground where she was thriving, but it was kind of a dangerous area. So I put her in another area of the garden. She hated it. So I put her in this pot, and it was a little bit rough at the beginning, but it looks now like if she's thriving. And I'm very happy about that, but this one again is a treacherous babe here. She's got those spines that are very dangerous, and since I have my TNR kitties that visit my garden, I don't want them to get poked, so I'm trying to find a solution for that. My Alluria procera did great this year, but again, it's very stressed right now with the hot sun, so I will be moving her to a place where she's more protected next year. Okay, so basically, I was very pleased with this little ollie. Most of the stuff again survived. My cactus barrel, I will be moving it, I believe, because it's getting a little elongated. That one needs a little more sun. My copper spoons, although it's bigger, it's not thriving there, so I think this year I'm going to be moving it. I will be revamping and putting some of these succulents in the ground this year, but for the most part this arrangement did great. It is a little bit stressed. These agavoides, as you can see here, got a little bit sunburned and they were turning yellow. They needed a little more water, but since it is a group arrangement, I had to be very careful. My Elf Aloe is looking beautiful. That she will be going in the ground again, or in another pot, or maybe even in this pot. But this is a week later. I did water this arrangement and they turned green again. It is thriving. It's just looking beautiful. And this one is not a priority. It's still looking gorgeous. So my hydrangeas this year gave me beautiful blooms, and I'm very pleased. I'm kind of getting the hang of them, and hopefully I can keep them alive and just thriving year after year. As you guys know, I have pots and succulents in the ground, and it's awesome to see how the same plant performs in the ground and in pots. And as you can see here, I have these beautiful aeoniums. I have plenty. I have propagated them and they are doing great. My starfish aloe is just thriving this year. I had it in the back area under the porch, and I brought her to my north side garden this year, and it is just loving it. Now, my bird bath is just horrible. It looks horrible. I did not like the way these plants performed here. The mint truffles is doing great. This plant is just so resilient that poor thing, it tried. But this ground cover that I planted here did not do too well. It did give me some flowers, but just the heat just devastated it. It's not deep enough to sustain the root system for this type of a plant. So lesson learned, next year we are going to be doing something else here. But for now, I got to show you the fails and also the victories. And here is again the coral aloe babies. They did great in the pots. I didn't fuss with them, but they did get a lot of water and just partial sun, so they loved it. Aloes don't do good in hot sun, so just remember that. You have to put them in a protected area if your sun is too intense like it is here. Here you're seeing the area that goes back to my south side garden, And in this stretch, I do have the Mama Aloe, and she did great this year. She's lucky. She needs some maintenance. I need to pull out some of the bottom um, arms or leaves or petals. And but these are her babies. This is another batch of her babies that I pulled out maybe like a couple of weeks ago. Stuck them in this pot temporarily because they will be going in the ground, but look how big they are. And they are just gorgeous. No sunburn at all. And I am very pleased with that. Here we're going back to the south side garden again, and I do have the sticks on fire. It is doing great. I cannot wait for it to get cold so that it starts getting that orange and yellow color. And here I'm showing you my baby blue eucalyptus tree, and I will be cutting the top off this year again. And I'm just waiting for all those little blooms that the bees love to visit, and then I will be cutting them off and preserving them in glycerin. Here my fence post cactus is doing great. My grapefruit tree survived. I am very happy about that. It's not going to do good here forever. I think I am going to take it to my daughter's house. She's got a lot more room over there and more areas where it can get the adequate amount of sun that it needs. Here I'm showing you my string of bananas that was under this shaded area, and it just performed beautifully. I started this when I probably 2 years ago. I cut it all up and replanted it, and it's just doing great. My bird's nest Sansevieria, which is my favorite Sansevieria out there, is just doing great. I did split all those rhizomes, so I have several plants. I've gifted them some plants to one of my daughters, and it is also doing great. And this is just another one that I really want in my garden. I will be propagating and multiplying it and putting it everywhere because it is just beautiful. Here's my cylindrica sansevieria, and although it's been neglected in this area, it's still doing great. All these, actually, I'm very surprised that they're doing great. A little elongated, a little crooked because they don't get the sun that they probably need under my porch, but they are surviving and thriving, so I will be keeping them in this area, but probably they need some repotting here. Well, we're getting to the end of this video. Thank you so much for sticking with me here. There's a lot to do in the garden, and I'm going to be tackling that in the next few videos, so I'll bring you along, and hopefully we can discover what's wrong with this Cameronia. I will be refreshing the rock. It needs serious refreshing. A lot of trimming, cleaning, moving, and I'm just going to reorganize everything in the garden to help it thrive, and just learning from my mistakes and again from my victories this year. Hopefully the garden is going to be just thriving year after year, and that's what's so awesome, that as a community we get to share our stories and learn from each other. So wishing you health and happiness wherever you may be. In this next picture, you're going to be seeing my beautiful TNR boy Smokey. Unfortunately, he got ill and he's no longer with us, but it's a part of life, and I just want to thank him for bringing so much joy to our lives and gracing my garden. All right, everyone, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Welcome to all the new subscribers. I will talk to you guys later.